With the Yoko Factor, Season 4 of Buffy limps into its two-part finale. And no, I don't really consider Restless the season finale, more of a comic book annual. But we'll get into that. The Yoko Factor and Primeval manifest all of Season 4's strengths and weaknesses, respectively. If we were to cluster Season 4's successes and failures, they break neatly between the gang and the Initiative. Yoko Factor deals with one, and Primeval deals with another. Both are hilarious, and when the gang is together, everything feels like it's clicking. When we're dealing with the Initiative, it can feel a bit perfunctory at times. It was a challenging season to make, and it has been a challenging one to talk about. Let's bring it to a close. The episode opens on a character we've met once, and one we've never met before, discussing the fallout from Riley's mutiny. This plot-necessary meeting is the result of the arc having been derailed, though we'll get into that.
Quite frankly, I don't think he was ever the soldier that you all hoped he was. Boy thinks too much.
Here we bring out the thematic sledgehammer. Confusingly, the General calls Buffy just a girl, which makes no sense. Buffy beat up Riley's team. She was at the briefing for a mission. It was suggested the entire Initiative knew who she was. Adam and Spike are figuring out their plan of attack on the Slayer. Spike points out that Slayer's power lies in her friends.
Take them away from her.
Well, there's a plan.
Post-Sanctuary Buffy returns from L.A. looking regretful. Xander brings Riley a spare pair of hammer pants and an overshare about Buffy's personal life.
One moment's happiness.
And that sets him off.
And you know what makes Angel happiest? I'll give you a hint. It's not creme brulee.
Sex. With Buffy.
She kind of left that part out, huh?
Xander makes a show here of not realizing Riley didn't know about the sex, but first of all, there is a moment when it's clear Riley doesn't have the whole story.
What do you mean?
You know, it's his trigger.
And Xander barrels on ahead. Second problem is Buffy hasn't given Riley any cause to not trust her. I mean, the bosses at his job created an evil monster while drugging him that killed his metaphor mommy, and he continued to work for them for 7 more episodes. On the other hand, a once-in-a-lifetime girl that has given him no reason not to trust her goes and visits an ex to warn them about a crazy raging Slayer on the loose. Oh, now he has trust issues. At Casa de Giles, we get what after Where the Wild Things Are might seem like gratuitous, super sexy, smoldering Giles singing, were it not for the chosen song. Freebird.
If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Well, I must be traveling on now. There's too many places I've got to see. And if I stay here with you, girl, things just couldn't be the same. 'Cause I'm as free as a bird now.
Spike interrupts, offers up Adam info, and manipulates Giles' insecurity that has been building up all season. Giles drinks. Tara and Willow went in on a mutual pet together, Miss Kitty Fantastico.
You have a catnip problem.
Huh. Hammer Riley stops by Buffy's. He's patched into the Initiative's frequency so they can't track him, which made me wonder why Walsh and company never bothered to bug Buffy's dorm, given the threat that she represented. Spike's attempt to Yoko Xander consists of him sharing gossip that Xander might have been joining the military? Xander bites immediately? This bit doesn't really work for me. I get it. Spike's be-all-you-can-be bit plays on the idea that Xander hasn't figured out who he wants to be. Sure, but Xander buys that Willow and Buffy were gossiping about him joining the military and laughing at him in front of Spike, let alone that of all the Scoobies who would probably not believe a single thing that falls out of Spike's stupid sexy mouth, I kind of feel like it would have been Xander. Minor point, moving on.
Don't shoot,
says Forrest while pointing a space laser at her. Forrest and Buffy argue over which one of them Riley is best with. Before Adam steps in and kills him, Spike brings gibberish discs to Willow and a drunk Giles and continues to twist the knife.
You're not exactly the whiz these days either.
I just need some time.
No, I just heard you weren't... Your mate said you weren't playing with computers so much. into the new thing.
This is a direct distillation of the magic versus technology, feminine versus masculine idea that they've been building all season. Riley hears of a hostile tearing up a squad and goes to help, and that's when he stumbles on
Angel.
Silly though the two of them are being, I love this scene. The hyper-masculine boyfriend off is dumb and silly, and I think the scene is embraced as such. Much of it is even shot from penis angle, low looking up. Wood fights an epic battle against Watery Milk, and the two of them end up at Buffy's front door. The fun boyfriends behaving like idiots stuff, though, definitely throws off the tone you'd think should be there now since Forrest is dead. I'd actually forgotten that had happened until this cut-in reminds us. Be honest, you forgot about it for a second too, right? Buffy and Angel apologize to each other. No, I don't think it fixes Sanctuary, but it needed to happen. Buffy and Riley have a bit of a complicated scene with a couple points I want to hit on. First of all, there is the unspoken notion that sometimes jealousy just happens, even in a healthy relationship.
Sometimes things happen between exes.
And the other is Riley's inability to take responsibility for his own feelings and behave like an adult. As in,
Have I ever given you any reason to feel that you can't trust me?
No,
Then why with the crazy?
because I'm so in love with you, I can't think straight.
These are lies.
now, this is stupid nonsense. The correct answer was, you're right. I'm being an ass. I'm sorry, woman of my dreams. I will do better in the future. Riley's answer was romantic code for I can't be held responsible for my actions because you're so amazing. So it's on you. I hate it. I hate it so much. And worse, the music endorses how romantic his comment is supposed to be. There are two telling details in the scene, though. Only one of the two men asks about Buffy's injury, and Riley says he loves her, and Buffy does not say it back. Oh, and by the way, Forrest is dead. So, tacos? The powder keg that Spike spent the episode lighting explodes. Riley shows up in Adam's den, and the first of the two-parter is in the books. As ever, it's difficult to say too much about a plotty two-parter before the second episode, so there will be more in the next. I really like the Yoko Factor, though, as it's mostly Scooby-centric and cleverly ties together a number of threads by way of a manipulative Spike. Until this episode, I never really realized how he had been so fabulously set up to play the role of Adam's worm tongue throughout the season. The behavior modification chip was a form of operant conditioning, Walsh's specialty. Lo and behold, Spike came to understand the destruction he could sow using just manipulation in Doom.
Buffy fights the forces of evil. You're her groupies.
Repeatedly, the gang makes the mistake of believing that since he can't kill anymore, he is no longer dangerous.
Can't any one of your damned little Scooby Club at least try to remember that I hate you all? Just because I can't do the damage myself doesn't stop me from aiming a loose cannon your way.
The initiative may have clockwork oranged him, but throughout, the writers have been telling us that a leash doesn't change a person's essential nature. The only thing that can do that is the person themselves. And the gang drifting apart a bit has been a common theme in the season. Xander's fear of being useless to the group has been explicit since the Zeppo. Early on in Fear itself, that manifested as literal invisibility, and Spike spent plenty of time in the Zandman's basement to gain first-hand knowledge of how he was feeling. The scene still feels a little awkward to me, as the jump to Willow and Buffy were talking about Xander joining the military was a bit of a stretch. I get that it might have been a reference to Halloween, but I think there was a cleaner way of writing it, as most of Spike's other manipulations are grounded and straightforward. In the harsh light of day, Buffy's fear of love leading to inevitable loss and isolation, which began through her experiences with Angel, was exacerbated by her experience with Parker, and who was front and center to prod her fresh wound.
So, you let Parker take a poke, eh?
And in Fear itself, Buffy finds herself alone and isolated with nothing but the monsters.
They all ran away from you. They always will. Open your heart to someone and...
In Pangs, the Scooby's house was similarly divided against itself, and in A New Man, Giles' feelings of lack of purpose, which had been played for a few midlife crisis laughs, manifested as him actually being a monster outside of the group, with a little help from Ethan Rayne, of course. Spike had a front row seat for that one before using his knowledge on Giles here. The show's association of magic and technology with feminine and masculine worked as a way of foreshadowing Willow's insecurity with her burgeoning sexuality. In Fear itself, neither Buffy nor Oz have a lot of faith faith in Willow's magical abilities, which manifests for her as a spell that spins out of control. Later in the series, magic became the metaphor for actual intimacy between Tara and Willow. Here, Spike suggests that her relationship with Tara is the reason for her having grown away from tech, metaphorically, the masculine, and why the gang has less faith in her. As I mentioned in the Iron Team, Spike is a manipulator, not a truth teller. He is certainly perceptive, but the words that come out of his mouth cater to his own ends. Always. And not necessarily the truth. But boy, is he fun to watch. And that's all the good stuff going on in this one. The unambiguous and unfun mirror to it all is the initiative.
Family's tearing apart.
But I think the season has been saying that the initiative is a family in an arbitrary sense. Identity and association not born out of love from within, but imposed upon its members by society from the outside. Colonel von Notwalsh refers to the soldiers as boys.
These are exceptional boys. Boy thinks too much.
A demonstration, right?
Be a good boy.
The theme here is that free thought is a necessity of adulthood, and institutionalized identity robs us of that. In that shot from the Iron Team, which I love, with Buffy in a sea of Mao suits, she is the only one who again and again raises her hand and questions Walsh's conclusions. As I said at the beginning, it's a solid episode as it's mostly focused on characters we already love and care about. Watching Spike do his thing is a lot of fun. The episode is absolutely hilarious. Drunk Giles is joy.
Tara's your girlfriend?
Bloody hell.
And I enjoy a lot of the structure to this one. Season 4 has struggled mightily with its arc. Much of it due to cast departures, but there have been some other underlying problems, which I'll get into in the next episode. But the one thing the season has never lacked for, and the Yoko Factor has loads of it, is charm.